Devout, sincere Muslim men following in the footsteps of their beloved prophet Muhammad. These Muslim men, part of a group known in Nigeria as Boko Haram, have set fire to a good number of buildings at the Federal Government College in Nigeria. The name Boko Haram means, loosely translated, Western education is forbidden. As of this filming, at least 59 young men are dead. What the Muslims did was they went onto the grounds at about 2 a.m. and they sealed the dormitories where the boys were and set the buildings on fire. When some of the boys were able to break a window and try and get out, they were captured and had their throats cut or were shot. The females that were at the college campus were told that they could leave, but that they needed to quickly forsake their goal of any type of Western education or the influence of Western education, and that they should either be or remain good Muslim ladies and to marry a fine, devout Muslim man. Nigeria is approximately 50-50 Muslim versus Christian. The Christians are dominant in the southern half of the country, which also has a lot of oil fields, and the Muslims are predominantly in the north. Nigeria has the largest population of any country in Africa, and it is without question the current and probably next hotbed for Islamic militants, devout Muslim men following in the footsteps of Muhammad. And it's probably the next hotbed for Muslim training to become what we would call terrorists. And also, it's going to figure in as a significant source of revenue to fund these people. Listen to me. Kidnapping in Nigeria right now is a multi-million-dollar business. The president's uncle, 7 hours ago, the press reported, a day after these children were slaughtered in cold blood, the president's uncle was kidnapped as people, his devout Muslim captors, are going to undoubtedly come forward and demand money. I believe the interior minister's mother of Nigeria was kidnapped about a year ago and was released after a week. It's a multi-million-dollar business. And again, for those of you not familiar with the Muslim narrative, let me explain something to you. Christianity has its founder, Jesus Christ. And in the narrative of Christianity, we seek to follow him, his example, and the example of the early church, the apostles, the disciples, the 120 in the upper room, etc. All right? The Muslims have a narrative. They have their founder, Muhammad, and they have the first caliphs, all right, the rightly guided successors of Muhammad, and they have the companions of the prophet, as they call them. So just as we study the life of Christ and the life of the early church and the life of the apostles to best understand how God wants us to live and who he wants us to imitate, the Muslims have their narrative, they have their history, they have their examples. And in the lifetime of Muhammad, slaughters such as we have just witnessed in Nigeria were common. And they weren't simply for the sake of executing some type of vengeance on those that they were killing. They were specifically to instill fear into the hearts of the living so that they would become Muslims. Likewise, ransoming kidnapped victims or prisoners of war was part and parcel of Muhammad's life and the example that he set and that his companions set. And so a devout Muslim man capturing someone and then demanding money for them to be released He can look up toward whoever he's looking to and tell himself that he's following the example of Muhammad. When you hear somebody say that Islam is a religion of peace, remember these things. This is the voice of resistance.